What's up? Urban RedPill, and the beat goes, hey, I got a question that I want to ask y'all. And I'm gonna use these questions to kind of drive the point home that I really want to try to make, right? Um, we'll start with automobiles. Let's just say, for instance, hypothetically speaking, BMW, 80% of the cars that come off that factory line have a defect. What I mean by that, let's say maybe you got a oil, let's just use leaking oil seals. So 80% of the cars that come out of the BMW factory has a leaking oil seal. Now, would you blame the sales guy who sold you the car knowing this information, or would you blame the manufacturer? Kenmore, Kenmore washing machine. Let's just say 70, 80% of Kenmore washers have an agitator problem. Would you blame the Sears salesperson for selling you that machine, or would you blame the manufacturer? We could go something as even as recent as I believe Samsung were having problems with their cell phones where batteries were exploding, and it wasn't an isolated thing. It was a lot of, it was happening to a lot of their phones. I don't know what percentage of them there were, but would you blame AT&T and T-Mobile, the vendors that sold you the phone, or would you blame the manufacturer? Now it's obvious who the public blame for it. They blame the person who makes the phone. They didn't go after T-Mobile. And I don't know if some of you guys will remember, it was a time where it was a company named Firestone. I believe this is like early 2000s. Firestone used to, I guess they had an agreement with Ford where they would make tires and they would put those tires on Ford Explorers. And it was a time where the beads in those tires were separating, causing Ford Explorers to have rollovers. What they did was they blamed the manufacturer of those tires, which was Firestone. They took a lot of heat. I don't know if they rebranded their tires, but I haven't heard ever since that collapse. I haven't heard really much from that company since that bad press that they got. But they pretty much blame the manufacturers, right? With that logic, which it's clear that everyone does this when a product comes and it's defective. They go straight to the source. They go straight to the manufacturers. So can you please explain to me, if we have a prison population and the numbers hover anywhere between 70, 80% of that prison population is raised by single mothers, why do we decide now not to blame the manufacturer? We blame everybody else. If you have a population of teenage pregnancies and the same thing, the manufacturer of those teenage pregnancies are single mothers, why are we blaming the salespeople? Why are we blaming everyone else besides the manufacturer? Pedophilia. It is well documented where most pedophiles targets, the main thing that pedophiles have in common when they make their targets is they tend to go after minors that that they know have a single mother that is in charge of them. Because I'm quite sure they know if there was a man around, a father was around, that could be the difference between them living and dying. So why as a culture do we understand this? Everybody does. But somehow, some way, when we're trying to address this, we blame everybody else but the manufacturer. We blame the salespeople. For conservatives, a lot of times they make excuses saying that the country has come, the further they got away from religion, the worse the culture got. You have those on the left. They'll make statements saying globalism, elitist, patriarchy, the whole nine. But the thing that both have in common is they do understand that there's something wrong out here. But what they both have in common is both sides are blaming the salespeople, and they're not blaming the manufacturer. And this baffles my mind because, I mean, how long are we going to sit around and do this blame parade? It's been at least 50 years. And everybody's just blaming this, blaming that, instead of the main culprit, which is that single mother. She is the one manufacturing out these defective products, these criminals, these, thoughts that we see on Instagram, on social media, everywhere, the dysfunction, these deranged lunatics that you see out here walking amongst you. It doesn't matter where you are. You see exactly what I'm talking about. Some cases, I can look at a news story and I can see what's going on, and I know automatically who raised and reared this dysfunctional person. Why do us as a society, men included, find a way to tap dance around this known fact? I do understand it is hard to go at this source. And the reason why I know it's hard is because, trust me, I have females in my family. My mom was a single mother, but thank goodness I had male influences around me where I was able to take on a few things from them. And my upbringing was not, mostly of her. And I understood that it was hard. So what I did was, before I was willing to accept that reality, I would do all kinds of reading. I would research this, research that. What I was always looking for was an alternative to not blame my single mother auntie, my single mother mother, my sisters, my cousins, anything I could find where I did not have to turn around and look at them and tell them that you're a lion's share of the reason that this culture is fucked up. And every time I dug, every time I looked, it constantly kept bringing me back to that single mother. What I'm saying is this: we're wasting time blaming, presidents, this, that. When at the end of the day, man, if we could fix the single mother problem, I'm not saying that that's going to cure everything, but what I'm saying is you would actually start to see a difference in the way a culture is just by you walking out the door and just looking around. It'd be a major difference. Because look at the medications now. Like, all of a sudden you have these ADHD medications, all of these things, because they're saying a lot of these kids have problems. Now, what you hear people doing is now they're blaming pharmaceutical companies for trying to exploit sicknesses in kids so that they can make money. And no one never says who is the manufacturer. Where was all this 50, 60 years ago? Last I checked, the makeup of a human has not changed in thousands of years. So where was this 50, 60 years ago? Now, what we do know changed was who was the head of the household and who was the raiser in the rear of these offsprings, and it happens to be women. And we could kick this can down the street all we want to, but until any man is unwilling to even look at their own mothers, look at their own females in their own family, and call them to the carpet about this cultural crime that they contribute to creating, nothing is going to change. You see women complaining about the dating scene with the way guys are. They're saying that men are not men anymore, right? So what do? They blame men. And it's not one time do they think like, who raised these men to be what they are now? We hear a lot of guys talking about the way women are. They're dumb, brain dead. You can't hold conversations with them. They don't even have a moral compass, and most of them are ran through. And these are facts. Like 9 out of 10 women you meet these days, as far as you thinking you have something special, or you think that there's some purity left in her, you have to be a freaking fool. Who raised and reared her? That single mother. And I just feel the direct direction needs to go to the blame of that source, the manufacturer. And I look at it like this: feminism slash single motherhood, because they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Single motherhood is cancer. Um, no one can disagree with this. Like I said, walk out your front door and you will see what I'm talking about. Feminism is cancer. It destroys both genders. Women are fucked up, and you have a lot of men that are also fucked up too. What I'm saying is, if if any human being is diagnosed with cancer of, let's say, we'll go high like a stage 4, they don't give you medications. They don't go deal with pharmaceuticals. They don't go with, they don't run to religion either. What they do is they set things up where they can cut that out. Cancer cannot be medicated. You cannot medicate cancer. You can't medicate any forms of cancer. The best way that you have a chance of overcoming those cancers is you have to go in there and you have to cut that shit out. Now, if single motherhood is considered a cancer, and it is, it's at a stage 4 and growing. You can see the trajectory. It hasn't even leveled out. It is constantly sending the society straight into the ground. Single motherhood needs to be cut out like cancer. And I think that is the only way that you can get you could kind of right the ship a little bit, is by cutting it out. But unfortunately, you have so many people, men and women, that are not willing to look that bull in the face, including their relatives, and call them to the carpet and tell them, hey, listen, you've had the opportunity to raise 5 generations. 5. And the report card is out, and it's been a F+. If you could go any worse than that. Right now, it's at a F+. And people just continue to just dumb it down. Oh, okay, well now, everybody's always looking for something else to blame, because no one has the guts to look at these women in their eyes, in their faces, and tell them the problem is you. Your decisions, your solipsism, because remember, a lot of this has to do with them just really thinking about themselves. And the reason I say that, think about how many of us were really had over a paycheck, or were birthed because of a plan of deceit. You had mothers out here, they thought like, okay, I'm going to trap them into a baby just so I could keep them around. Does that sound like a starting point for raising a decent human being? Or they say, I can get this amount of money from the welfare state or child support if I have this kid, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many. Does that sound like a starting point to raise a Harvard lawyer? Absolutely not, because the motive of the whole thing was by deceit and entrapment. And now this is the final verdict of what we get. And still to this day, and with the information out there, you still just have people just constantly blaming conservatives, Democrats, religion, patriarchy, globalists, all of these other things. I mean, is the spell to not check women or hold them accountable for anything that strong? Is gynocentrism that freaking strong? Like, they're not going to bite. What are they going to do by you calling them to the carpet? What can they do? But as long as we sit here and stay blinded by this, it's going to continue to go down. The crime is going to continue to go up because, like I said, if they have sons, most of the time they're raising criminals. If they have daughters, most of the time they're raising sluts. What do criminals do? They commit crimes, they cause havoc on everyone's lives, and they populate and fill the prison systems that you're eventually going to have to pay for anyways as a taxpayer. What do sluts do? They pass STDs, they're very promiscuous, and what they do is they keep this cycle continuing. They keep the snowball going right down the hill. And we're sitting around here fighting the wrong fight, blaming organizations, institutions. Like, and it is, yes, they do have some blame in some of these things because what happened is they kind of promoted this single mom strong thing. The media, globalists, yes, they do fund and promote this. But at the same time, you know, I'm not blaming the salesperson anymore. If I get a defective BMW and 80% of those cars are coming out defective, I'm not blaming the guy who sold me the car. I'm going straight at fucking BMW because they engineered, they made the choice on this model, and they made this car. And they didn't do any quality insurance on this to make sure that these numbers will go down. I'm going directly at the manufacturer. The single mother is the manufacturer of the dysfunction that's going on in America. There is nothing else outside of that. Now, if you start there, then you branch out. You can start to deal with all the other issues. I guess the other tree branches from the bad tree, per se. But the seed of the issue, unfortunately, a lot of times is our own sisters, our mothers, in some cases, depending on how far the generation goes up, your grandmothers. And I think these are one of the harsh realities that a lot of guys are going to have to, you know, like they say, man up and kind of accept that this is what it is. And I know it is hard because when I found myself looking for answers and it kept stringing me back to my mom, my sister, my grandmother, like they all had some skin in this game to mess up not only generations inside of my own family, but their ideology also affected other generations also. And, you know, I've done my part on that. I have mentioned these things to them. I've called them to the carpet on this. Now, they're not going to be accountable for this because for the most part, logic is not a woman's strong suit. Accountability isn't either. They're not going to take accountability for this. It's like if you have two children, you want to find out which one is the culprit of, like, you know, who put a hole in the wall. What's going to happen is it was only two of them there, but they're going to just continue to just blame the other one until you have to do your investigation and find out, okay, it's a Nike footprint in the wall, and that's where the hole is. Which one of you have Nikes? And then, you know, you do your investigation until you find out who actually did it. But if you leave it up to a child, they're going to blame it on the other sibling, unless they're the only one that is in the house where they just have to face the music. And because women are not alone with this single mother epidemic, them as a collective, what they do is they will blame the men for this. Deadbeat fathers, you hear it. The state, the government, they blame everybody else. But at the end of the day, my body, my choice, that dysfunctional being that you had came from between your legs. And at some point, we got to call this crap to the carpet. If you don't, what I'm going to do, I'm going to find this was a recent video that is probably going a little viral now if they're not trying to snatch that video down. I'm going to link that video in the description with a daughter and her mother. The daughter was recording an argument that her and the mother had, and watch it to the end. This girl is going to drop some major truth bombs, and you can tell the only reason those truth bombs came out was because she was boxed in the corner as far as the dysfunctional argument that her and her mother were having. And even along the way, you can see the way the mother act and the way the daughter act is pretty much identical. But at the end, the daughter called the mother to the carpet on what's been going on in that household. And I think this video does demonstrate the normalcy that goes on with these behaviors inside single mother households. She was a girl, but I'm quite sure the sons have these type of issues also. You guys check that out, and this is just something that's been weighing on me the past couple of days, because I read articles, I see certain things, and when I look at people's opinions on some of these things, not one time do they ever call out the mother. There was a time back in the day, I wasn't around then, but you can tell by stories, and you can also tell by documentaries, probably movies from the past, where if you had a child, teenager, that went to school, did not want to respect authority, wasn't doing too good in school at all. Everything, in other words, they went there and it was just pretty much wasting everybody's time. What they would do was, the first thing they would ask is they want to speak to the parents. Because what happened is they're going to call the parents to the carpet. And at that time, those households were two-parent households. So because that man was there, they would say, okay, we're going to call the parents to the carpet, because they understood that this kid's behavior, a lot of this stuff starts at home. So they went directly to the seed. As time progressed, look now, a child, teenager could go to school and act a fucking fool. Look who they blame. They say the teacher could have handled the situation better. The school administration did not do enough. The district or the education system is not enough, and it's not working for the kids. They need medications. And not one time do they ever say, well, where is this person's parent? The reason why they didn't ask that is because guess who they know the parent is? The key word is, where is this child's mother? And if you try to blame her, you're going to have a complaint on your hand, and pretty much you could possibly lose your job as a teacher, just addressing the issue that they've been doing since the education system was even created. But that has changed, because why? They do not want to call this person to the carpet for the cultural crime that they're committing. We see it all on the internet. It's to the point now you got students, they're actually physically fighting their own teachers. They don't even respect authority. Why? Because they don't respect the parent that's in the house. And what parent is in their house is the freaking mother. That's just my opinion on the situation. I think more heat needs to be directed at the seed of the issue, and let's stop, cutting down tree branches, because guess what? You're going to cut those branches down, the same branches are going to grow. If you do not dig that tree up, grind the stump, delete the cancer, remember, cancer, you have to remove it. You can't medicate it. You cannot medicate a cancer. It has to be removed. And after it's removed, you have to continue to supervise it to make sure that cancer does not pop up again and turn into another situation which can end up being deadly. And that's what American culture is right now. American culture right now is cancer due to the single mother epidemic. That's my opinion on that. Just wanted to share it with you guys. Like the video. Leave your comments if you have something to say on this. And you guys take it easy. I'm out of here.